What's up guys, my name is Scott Holmes, and today I'm going to talk to you about how I went from making $300 a month working in the dining hall at a job I absolutely hated to making $20,000 in a single month right before I graduated from college. Let's start from the beginning. Coming into college, I didn't have a lot of money. I came into college, realized it was really expensive, and knew I needed to get a job. No one was hiring other than the dining hall, so I took the only job I could get. I absolutely hated it. It was so miserable, so not fun, and I'm actually very thankful that I hated it so much because I might not be here right now if that wasn't the case. In January of 2021, one of my friends introduced me to sneaker reselling, and during my first month, I did $300 in profit. I quickly figured out that I just needed to make $800 a month to quit my job in the dining hall, which I did 4 months later. After I got to $800 and relative financial freedom for where I was at in my life, I decided that I really liked the business aspect of this. And so after a summer of working at a camp where I couldn't really sell sneakers, going into sophomore year, I decided to really scale hard. And so in August, I was able to get to $2,000 a month in profit, which was obviously a huge step. Now, I was still running into problems with getting past $2,000 a month, and the thing that I realized I wasn't doing well was buying enough. I know this sounds very simple, but remember, I was pretty new to business, and I didn't really understand that you should go all in on your best sellers. And so I would only buy 10 pairs or 5 pairs, and I would sell out within a week, which was leaving a ton of money on the table. So for the rest of the year, I resolved to buy as many of my best sellers as I could so that I could scale way higher. With this strategy, I was able to push all the way to $3,000 a month in profit in December of 2021. The beginning of 2022 marked the first time that I actually encountered a plateau in my business where I couldn't make more money easily. Before, I had scaled from $300 a month to $3,000 a month in a year, but I got really stuck at $3,000 until April or May of 2022 when I found out about Amazon. I got ungated for Nike, which, if you know anything about Amazon now, is no longer possible as a new seller, but back then it was pretty easy. And I've lived really close to a Nike outlet. I still didn't take full advantage of this during the spring or the summer, but in the fall of 2022, I became very determined to push past the $3,000 mark. I was sick and tired of being stuck at making $3,000 a month. So tired, in fact, that I actually DM'd an Instagram guru to see if he had any advice for me. He never responded, but this was a great sign of how desperate I was at the time. I finally recognized the power of Amazon in October of 2022, and I was able to break through the $3,000 a month plateau and get to $5,000 a month. Now, I wasn't done yet. In November and December of 2022, I continued to double down on Amazon and learn from my mistakes the year before where I didn't buy enough. I went all in, and by December of 2022, I was able to get to $8,000 in profit a month. This is a really important chapter for me because it marks when I decided to not continue on a traditional career path. At the time, $8,000 a month was a crazy amount of money, given that I had no expenses and my parents were paying for college, which I was very blessed to have. The fall of junior year is generally when people look for internships, and after making $8,000 in a month, I decided that I wouldn't get an internship, and instead I would see how much money I could make working for myself during next summer. I went abroad to Barcelona for the spring of junior year, and I wasn't able to sell because at the time I didn't know about outsourcing. I didn't know other people could fulfill my orders. I had a great semester, but when it ended, it was time to get to work and prove to myself that I hadn't made a mistake not taking an internship. This was the first time coming back that I felt pretty out of touch with the sneaker business. I didn't really realize how much it would change over 4 to 5 months that I wasn't selling, and I took some pretty significant losses when I came back. I wasn't unprofitable, but my margins were much lower, and I was overbuying stuff that wasn't really selling anymore because I still had the mentality of it being the Christmas of 2022 where everything was selling. I was still able to get to around $5,500 a month in June, but that wasn't great for doing this full time. In July, I was able to get to my first $10,000 in profit in a month. I continued to push hard for back to school, and I'd learned my lesson about previous August, that this was usually an awesome month for selling. So I made sure to buy heavy And in August, I was able to set another profit PR, making $12,000 in a month. This was another super important point because this was when I had to decide whether I was going to get a quote unquote real job after school or if I was going to be self-employed. Because I had made over $10,000 in a month, I decided that it was worth taking a risk and that I wouldn't look for a job and I would continue to do this business through the year and after I graduated. Going back to school, I definitely had way less time to work on my business, but I was still able to get to around $8,000 to $12,000 a month until November of 2023, when we have Black Friday and all the Christmas shopping. During November of 2023, I was able to scale to $15,000 a month, marking a new profit PR. Now, for the spring of senior year, I decided to outsource my whole business because I really wanted to enjoy the last 4 months of college that I had with my friends. So in January of 2024, right before I went back to school, I loaded up a U-Haul and drove it down to Pennsylvania and dropped all my inventory off at a friend's warehouse. He fulfilled stuff for me for a fee, and though I did have some issues, it really allowed me to focus on the Amazon side of my business. I've been stuck at $30,000 a month for a really long time with Amazon, and I was just mostly sourcing from outlets. But not having to ship stuff out, which took a ton of time in the fall, I was able to focus on finding profitable Amazon items online, which allowed me to go from $30,000 in January to $60,000 in March to almost $100,000 in sales in April. In April of 2024, I was able to get to $20,000 a month in profit, much thanks to the outsourcing of my business and to scaling Amazon. That's a pretty great story, right? Starting out by making $300 a month and then 3.5 years later getting to $20,000 a month. I don't think there's a lot of people who would be able to do that. This is all great, but what I really want you to take away are these 3 things. Number 1, once something works, stick with it. I spent a lot of time at $3,000 a month because I kept trying new things rather than just scaling the thing that was working. If something works, don't change it. The grass is not always greener and there's always a cost of switching. Takeaway number 2 is having a long time frame. This may seem like a pretty quick trip, but 3.5 years is a long time, and a lot of people struggle to think that far out. When you get into something new, especially if it's a business, make sure you're ready to be in it for the long haul. Don't think about how much money you can make in the next month, the next 3 months, or even the next year. Try to think in 3 to 5 year time horizons, and you'll be able to accomplish everything you can dream of and even more. Number 3, look at the biggest people in your industry and copy what they're doing. They already know what works best and they've already tried everything out for you. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. If you think you have a better accounting system than the person who's doing 10 times or 100 times more in sales than you, you probably don't, and they've probably already tried what you're trying to do and they know it doesn't work. I wasted a ton of time trying to do things myself in different ways because I thought I was smarter than everyone else. And this cost me a lot of time, particularly with Amazon. I ended up having to do about 20 hours of maintenance work with accounting because I had insisted on doing manual accounting instead of paying $100 a month to use a third-party accounting software. Additionally, look at where the biggest players in your space are. If they're selling on a specific platform or a specific sales channel, that's probably because it's the most scalable sales channel. I wish that in April of 2022, I had understood that Amazon represented the biggest potential out of everything, and I just focused on scaling that because I think I could have gotten to that $20,000 mark maybe a year earlier. Instead, I decided that I didn't need Amazon, that I could beat out everyone else because I was special, and that's just simply not true. You definitely are special, but don't think that to a fault. If you really like this video and you want to see more stuff like it, drop a comment below about what you liked and what you'd like to see me break down in the future. Thanks for watching.